I'm cold calling. It's so frustrating. What can I do? And I was like, well, are you just cold calling? And she just told me a few things that she was doing when she just got into real estate. And I literally gave her a list. I was like, go to events, go to the office, go meet other brokers.
Thank you for joining us today for Mastering Luxury with Sandra. Today, I have a special guest, Lauren Pepin from New York City, and she comes with a very unique background, and I can't wait for you to hear about it. Welcome, Lauren. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. So, New York City, that's a fun life up there. Lots of hustle and bustle.
That's right. I'm actually doing this from my office over here on Fifth Avenue. It's actually a beautiful day here today. So, yeah, the city that never sleeps. I also have an almost 11-month-old, so I also don't sleep.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's exciting. Well, I want to hear more about that as we get into this. But how about if we start with your background? Like, tell us
Sure.
a little bit about what did you do before real estate and how did you make the transition into real estate?
Yes. So I started off actually working in the entertainment industry and I worked for a movie producer. I worked in PR. I did all these really interesting and glamorous jobs. And I ended up transitioning out of that because I ended up going back to school. I went to a professional acting conservatory. And then from there, I was and still am a professional working actress. But I wanted to have something that was a little bit more professional that I could do. And I wanted to have a business. I had this sense that, the industry was changing a little bit in terms of what was going on in the entertainment business. And I wanted to have something else. I went to NYU. I've always been very academically inclined. There's so many things that you can do in New York City.
Mhm.
And I just kind of fell into it. And, everyone loves real estate. People love to talk about real estate. People love to look at real estate. My dad actually loved real estate. And so I just thought, hey, I'm going to try this out. Like, I didn't know if it was going to be successful at it or whatnot. And I kind of just fell into it. And now, over a decade later, here I am.
Wow. It's interesting. Everybody's background, very few people grew up saying, I want to get into real estate. I've been doing this podcast for almost 4 years. And I think I've only had one person who said, I knew I wanted to be a realtor when I grew up. So it's always fun to hear everybody's story and where they came from and where they ended up. So it's interesting. You are an actress with a background in acting. We used to joke about how every time we went on a listing appointment, it was like an audition every time, right? Like, have you ever thought of it that way that when you walk in the door, you're basically doing an audition for your job, which is what you do as an actress?
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of parallels in terms of the rejection, which we can definitely get into because there's a lot of ups and downs. But yeah, it's like putting on a little show every day when you do a showing, when you go in for a listing appointment with the seller, when you're getting interviewed by a buyer. Uh, you're always auditioning, and especially when you're talking about the luxury market, as you kind of like climb your way up in your career, it gets like more competitive because you're competing against the best of the best. So yeah, there's a little bit of like show involved in this career, and so I've definitely pulled a lot of my experience as a professional actress into what I do now.
I'm sure it has come in very handy for you. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so New York City, that is such an exciting place. One of my daughters actually lives in Brooklyn, and my other daughter also went to NYU. So
Wow.
pretty familiar with the whole New York scene. I love to visit, and I like to come back home to where it's a little quieter. But so breaking into that market, I can't imagine that was all that easy.
It definitely wasn't. I get a lot of people who I meet or friends of friends, or actually a lot of people from acting school or people who are actors or artists that I know, and they all want to get into real estate. They're like, how do you do it? How do I start? And I really tell them that there are no shortcuts. There really have to do the work. When I started in the business, it was a little bit different. I mean, I started off going out every day and previewing. I had to know the inventory. Like, you can't just like start off, you're not going to know anything.
Right.
So I started off, and look how many buildings we have in New York City, but previewing all the inventory, going to open houses, trekking through the snow in February. It was freezing cold, but going to the broker preview so I would get to know this building has a really nice pool. this building is right next to X, Y, and Z. And you're not going to know that unless you go there and you do the work and you and I still do that now. Even now, I'm still doing that. There's a new building. I got to go and like look at it. Let me see. And maybe the building is great, but it has no views. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to waste my time taking a buyer there. And that's why people hire me because I have an expertise. So there are no shortcuts. You really have to start from the ground up, get to know the inventory. It's not glamorous all the time, especially in New York City when it's cold, it's rainy, it's busy. You know, there's so much information, but I started off and I still do it to this day. And I think that's one thing that like a lot of people hear that and they're like, oh, I just want to do a shortcut to making a lot of money. There are no shortcuts.
Yeah, most people don't know what it takes to get in, and then they get in and it's not at all what they thought it would be. And I think you did it the same way that I did, where it was we didn't know anything, so we went out and learned, right? We went and checked everything out, and we continue to grow and learn about everything as it's evolving as well. We're not sitting back and waiting, right?
No, no. I just had actually, it's funny. I just had coffee with somebody the other day and she's like, I'm cold calling. It's so frustrating. What can I do? And I was like, well, are you just cold calling? And she just told me a few things that she was doing when she just got into real estate. And I literally gave her a list. I was like, go to events, go to the office, go meet other brokers. I still get a lot of business from other brokers. Think about it strategically. Maybe go to a different part of the city where people might not want to go. So get to know those brokers. So then they'll refer you. You know, she's in Brooklyn. So go meet brokers that do stuff uptown. Get to know stuff uptown. You got to know everything. A volunteer here, volunteer there. I gave her a whole list. Her brain was like warped. I was like, there's a lot to do and a lot of opportunity. You just have to know where to find it.
Right, right. And find what is it that resonates with you? Like, what are the things? Now, I know you do a lot of charity work and volunteer stuff, and you're part of Junior Women's Club. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, how does that, fold into your work world as well as your personal world?
So I like to always say too that the real estate business is the people business. So you got to get in front of people, and it's a great opportunity. It's the New York Junior League. I've been involved for the last 6 years, actually 7 years, and I've had leadership positions there. I took off a little bit of time when I had my son, but I just came back and I'm still very involved. And it's a really great women's organization. It's great because a lot of the events that we do help community partners, whether for women or for children. But also it gets me involved and gets me out meeting a lot of other people. In fact, one of my listings right now is from somebody who I met, actually sold one of her apartments. Now I'm reselling another one of her apartments. So I just, it gets you in front of people, gets you to meet a lot of people who I maybe wouldn't necessarily be in front of.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like opportunity, fun things, social things. There's a I think it's a couple of times a year they do something called Playground Improvement Project where we help, clean up the certain playgrounds. I mean, there's just so much opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So I try with my time now to get as involved as I possibly can. And I think that, I mean, that's just one organization that I've been involved with quite a bit.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that it gets you in front of people and people get to know you.
Yeah.
If you're doing multiple activities with them, it's something that, they're going to trust you when you've done things like the charity event. They get to know who you are and what you stand for, and they can identify with that.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit more of an organic way to talk to people because also when people find out you're in real estate, everyone loves, especially New York City, loves to talk about real estate, loves it. So I hate being salesy, being like, because you do icebreakers when you have meetings. Oh, what do you do, or what do you? I hate being like, I'm a real estate broker. Look at my listing. Like I hate being like that. I think it's a lot more organic when people start getting to know you or then they find out they're and then I have a lot of people who will follow me on like social media and then they see me posting things that I'm showing and things that I'm doing and then they come to me and ask questions and I just feel like it's a lot more organic because one thing I have learned is everybody hates being sold to, so
Yeah.
I never ever want to sell people or push people. I like to say let's go shopping with a friend if you're interested to buy something. I want
Mhm.
to feel like it's not salesy because that is the one thing that definitely turns people off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in they have like Marjan and events, so you go to and you hang out with people and you talk about it, and then almost anytime people hear that I'm in real estate, they're all like, "Oh, my friend," or "I saw this building," and I have a lot of industry knowledge, so I like to say, "Oh yeah, that's what's going on here. That's what's being built there,"
Right.
or "You go here, they have the coolest like pool with a view of this, and look at this picture," and people just think it's cool.
Yeah, and when you have that much knowledge and expertise, they're going to gravitate towards you. Even if they're already working with somebody or thinking about working with another friend or somebody, when you exude confidence and the
Yeah.
amount of knowledge that you have, you end up standing out. You're head and shoulders above the other people. And that shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had people who, yeah, of course, everybody who's got money knows a real estate broker in New York City. 100%.
Probably 10 of them, no less.
Or 10 or maybe 20. Yeah, everybody knows a broker. And it's like thinking about, are you the person that they need at that time for the property or timing? And so it's just, being top of mind, showing you have confidence that you like what you do. Like, deals, like also, there's a lot of very difficult scenarios behind the scenes, especially co-ops, New York City,
Yeah.
difficulties of the market. And so you never want to be a Debbie Downer. You always want to be positive, figuring out different situations and be the person that they can go to, be like, well, she's always got a great attitude and she's a problem solver. And, it's not that like, oh, everything is horrible and everything's difficult. I mean, because it can be.
Right. Absolutely. So I know that you pride yourself on a white glove service. Tell us a little bit about that. What does that look like for you and what does that entail?
So I would just say I try to give every client white glove service, whether it's a $3,000 rental client or a $30 million townhouse buyer, because to every person, every every dollar is important. So just because somebody is maybe only spending some money on a rental, that for them is the most important thing because that's their housing.
Hmm.
And so also that $3,000 renter could turn into that $2 million buyer who could turn into that $5 million seller. So I always try and give exceptional service across the board. I think communication is extremely, extremely key. I've worked on certain deals where the brokers or the attorneys or whoever is involved doesn't communicate. And I think it goes a long way. Like even just this morning, for example, I just sent an email to one of my sellers and I said, FYI, I reviewed this and we're still waiting. And this is just where we are at. And you'd be surprised how many times that people are like, no one's like telling me what's going on because there's a lot of waiting in real estate, especially in New York. And so I think it goes a long way just to people feel like you're constantly checking in, constantly on top of things, even if it's just we're still waiting or we
Yeah.
need to go back on this. Or we're still waiting for someone to get back on a time. There's a lot of moving parts in the New York City market because you're dealing with a management company and everybody knows management companies take forever. And so you just got to stay on top of it, keep the deal moving along. And I just always like to treat people how I would want to be treated if I was in that scenario because it's a highly, highly emotional.
Yes.
Um, and people, they want to know that they're being taken care of. And I've heard a lot of times in my last couple of deals, especially that thank you for just letting us always know what's going on because that's where I think the communication can break down a little bit where you're just kind of not really staying on top of things and people have told me that they really appreciated that and that's why they've rehired me or recruited me.
Yeah. Even if it's I don't have any information, but I'm just touching base with you to let you know I don't have anything because I think people, they get so worried in these transactions, right? And understandably, we forget that this isn't what they do. This is what we do. It's not what they
Yeah.
do every day. So I think anybody who can communicate at a really high level like you is going to be successful. And the people who don't communicate well, it's going to be a struggle, right? It's going to be a challenge, and you're going to have sellers that are upset or buyers that, they're blowing you up all the time. I always say, if they're calling me, I'm not doing my job, right?
Yeah.
We should be getting to them before they get to us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always try and also I'm impeccably organized too. And it's just how I am, but I like to stay 5 steps ahead on every deal. And the way I do, I just have like a list of all of my listings, my buyers, my clients. And I go every day, multiple times a day, go through what needs to be done on this, what needs to be done on this, what's a priority because time management. So just staying, ahead of the game, anything that I could prep in advance or have ready to go. Cause time is money.
Time is money. And I know you've got an extra challenge because you got a cute little one who's not even
Yeah.
a year yet. Is that right?
A year in June.
Okay.
So
So,
almost 11 months. Yeah.
wow. And he is a cutie. So how do you manage that? Because obviously you need time with family.
Yeah.
So you have to stay really organized to balance it all. What are some of your tips and tricks for that?
luckily I have a village, so that's amazing. And yeah, I would just say staying, and I'm really lucky too because he's an excellent, excellent baby.
Oh,
He's my first, so that's what I've been told. But just I'm very organized with everything. Like I have list upon list upon list, and also you can't prepare for everything. But I like to stay very organized so I can stay on top of like everything I need to do for work, everything I need to do at home and give myself a little breathing room. And then, things will sometimes just blow up and something happens on a deal. I have to drop everything, or maybe baby gets sick. I have to drop everything. But I luckily have a lot of support, a lot of people who I can depend on. And so I'm really grateful for that. But also, it keeps life interesting. Sometimes I look at my husband and I'm like, at least our lives are not boring.
there you go. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Always trying to find the silver lining, right? The positive
Right.
in whatever is happening. Well, that's
Exactly.
exciting, and I'm sure that having him also gives you some motivation and helps you,
Yeah.
drives you to do better.
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, it's funny, I've taken him to some broker previews, there's, like, some, developments I wanna go see, and I'm like, "It's a beautiful day." I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna go look at this apartment," and he's a great baby, so we just, like, put him in the carrier, go walk around, take a look. Everybody loves when I bring the baby. They're like, "Oh my god, he's so cute," and so if we're out previewing stuff or, walking around or anything like that. And I mean, yeah, no, it's been great. It's like you can't describe it to somebody unless you go through it yourself,
Mhm.
but it's definitely it's great. And it's also good because I go to like a lot of mom events and it's another organic way to kind of get in front of people too.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does that look like for, there's people listening to this that are just brand new and there's people that have been in for years and years listening to this podcast. So how do give some hints on, you're brand new to real estate, you've got, kids, you've got a mom's, activities that you're doing. How do you organically make that happen where the conversation turns to real estate?
I think, I mean, I definitely think it's something you can't force. I think it has to organically come up. And, if you're new, I do say joining a team is a great way because then you do have a lot of support. I actually didn't join a team in the beginning. I've kind of been on my own. Now I have a partner who I work with.
Mhm.
But I think joining a team is an excellent way because you can also have some support and no one's going to expect you also if you're brand new to know what to do, especially in New York City. Like very complicated.
Yeah.
So you'll have a little bit of guidance, you'll have a little bit of mentorship, and then the team is going to have listings, so you can kind of like build off of those listings or those buyers or get like referrals or leads.
Mhm.
Uh, and I mean it's something to always like talk about. Just I think bring it up in like a good way. I mean, moms always want to, especially in New York. I was saying I'm very New York centric on everything I'm saying, but is limited. So everyone always needs more space. So maybe someone wants to upgrade their space, or maybe somebody wants to move to a different location because of a different school district or something. So it's a good way to kind of have an opportunity to talk about it, especially because we talk about homes a lot.
Mhm.
But I don't think like if you're going to like a mom's meetup and you come with like wearing your, branding, like it's a little like forced. Um, I had somebody I went to, the beginning, I went to a mom's dinner, it was like a new mom's dinner, and I didn't even tell anybody I was in real estate, and some people were, like, following on, like, social media, and then, like, one girl ended up kind of following me, and then she saw I was in real estate and then said, like, her friend might wanna buy something, and so, like, it kinda spiraled, like, that way, but I always think I hate forcing it, I hate being salesy, so I try to just be, you know, like, a little bit some people are great, like, I met brokers who are extremely salesy, like, "I just wanna let you know that I'm ranked here, and I'm ranked here, and I'm selling this, and I'm selling that." I like it to be more fun and organic.
Yeah, I think you and I are a lot alike in that way. I'm the same way where I don't like to be, throwing it in people's faces. But I think the mention that you said about Facebook or social media, people seeing it and then the conversation starts organically from there. I think that's a great suggestion. And people that are getting into the business now, they can always go to like the things you mentioned, brokers opens, open houses, and take pictures and videos of other people's listings with permission, of course.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ways that they can get started without being pushy and without doing all of the cold calls. There's a lot of different ways to get in.
Definitely. And I think with social media, oh my goodness, there's so much opportunity. I hear every other day about brokers who are just selling apartments on TikTok. I haven't had time to master that yet, but there's so much opportunity, and it's funny too because you could turn yourself into an expert without even being an expert if you're good at presenting.
Right.
So content is also a whole nother thing. That's always been on my to-do list. I haven't really gotten to mastering it. Sometimes I do okay, but if I had a little more time, maybe I would have more content that I would be creating, quote unquote. But there's just a lot of opportunity there and to, promote things. And everybody wants brokers to come to their listings here and like take content and take, videos and stuff. So it's a really easy way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lauren, you said, that you've said a couple things that you'd like to get into this, you'd like to do something more heavily. But, I think that for most of us that are successful at a high level like you are, it's really finding what is your one thing, right? Finding the one thing and mastering it. And then, yeah, we do a lot of other things too, but like we have one thing that is the most important thing that no matter what happens, we're going to get that one thing done time and time again. What would you say is your one thing?
That's a really tough question. I definitely do a newsletter since I started once a month. So I definitely do a newsletter.
Lauren, it's like we're
One
the same person here. That's what too.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, no, I do that newsletter once a month. I might have missed like one or two. That's because I was having baby. But doing the newsletter is a good way to like stay in touch with people, have people see like what you're working on. And at least my company sends out a template. I always customize it and I always put in like specific things. Like I'm gonna put this podcast in my next one when it's available.
Yay.
But things I'm working on, like a movie I might have gone to see, an exhibit, something going on in New York. It's my last newsletter. Actually, I had a client who wrote a book and it was like number one on the Amazon category. And I was like, oh, I'm putting in this in my
That's
newsletter,
awesome. I love that.
using it as a way to promote my clients and whatever projects they have. I have a lot of, because of my background in the entertainment industry, a lot of creatives, writers, directors, actors. And just really staying in touch with people as best I can. I mean, we can't do it all, the ways it leads to burnout. I've kind of gone down this road in the beginning where it's like you want to do everything and like then you'll do nothing.
Right.
And
Right.
this,
It gets to be too overwhelming, right? You're like, I've got to do the social media. I've got to do the newsletter. I've got to do all the events. And then it just becomes too much and you just freeze and you do nothing. I am very, very focused on like, what are my main things? And let me stay in my lane. And I am very aware of my, the things that I should be doing that I'm just not going to do. Like I can't do everything. You can't do everything. So we have to
right.
give ourselves some grace, right?
Of course. And I've also it's funny because I always, and I'm sure most brokers feel like this, you like close all of your current deals and you're like, is anyone ever going to hire me? And I always have like that little bit of feeling. And then it's like five listings just drop in my lap for like
Right.
three buyers or two other people sending me things. And so it just kind of happens that way. And I've kind of alluded that to being like, I always do right by people. I always stay on top of things. I feel like I always like take the high road as best as I possibly can in every scenario that I've been in, whether it's like really difficult, other broker on the other side or a difficult client. Just like take the high road, do right by people, and then like good things will come. And like the good things have always been coming to me. And I think it's just like having confidence in yourself too.
Mhm.
You're doing a good job. You keep building, you keep learning, and the right opportunities are going to come to you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it sounds a little like hoity-toity, but I mean, it's a really difficult business. There's like one day you might have like everything going right, and the next day everything could fall apart.
Mhm.
And so
It
you have to be comfortable
constant
with it.
it's a constant roller coaster, right? Like you could be on the top of the world, you've got 4 great deals closing today, and tomorrow those 4 deals all fall apart and you have nothing. It is I mean, this industry is definitely not for the weak at heart, right? It's like
Yeah.
it changes so fast and I mean, even that happens to us all the time where we're feeling like we're invincible and then everything comes and crushes on us and we've
Yeah.
got to pick it up and we've got to be strong enough to get up and go back at it again.
And in the beginning, when you first get that like devastating, like a big deal, like falls apart and like it just can't be resurrected, you're like so devastated. And like maybe it was like a huge commission and you worked like a year on it because sometimes deals in New York, especially, take like a year or more to close, like very difficult. And then I remember the first time that happened, I was like devastated. And then I thought to myself that some of the brokers that I look up to who've been in the business like twice as long as I have, they've all gone through that.
Mhm.
They've all survived. They picked themselves up and now look at them. They've got like five new things on their pipeline. So I'm like, oh, that's just part of it. And if you're gonna fall apart, and it's the same way in entertainment industry, like you might have 100 auditions and everyone wants you and then nobody wants you.
It's feast or famine, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And you got to just kind of get used to it, let it roll off, and you're like on to the next. Or maybe, one client decides they don't want to buy anything and they're just going to like, they're just going to stay put. You're like, okay. And then, but you know what? Maybe next year things will be different. So
Yeah.
you kind of keep going. And if you let everything affect you and like destroy you, you're not cut out for it.
Yeah, you've got to really have thick skin, I think,
Yeah,
in this business, and it is hard. It's a emotionally draining when the deals fall apart or when there's problems within the deal. But I
yeah.
really think how we handle it and how we move forward is what makes us successful or not.
Absolutely. And I also think that I have to sometimes, like, when you have like a really difficult situation, the reason the client hired us is because we're going to stay cool, calm, and collected. We're not going to flip out and get emotional. We're going to be the voice of reason. We're going to say, okay, here are the options. These are the three paths that we're going to go down. Here are the pros and cons of each. And, I'm the experienced professional and I'm going to advise this one, but what do you think of these? And give them the options. And then, we make a decision on like how we're going to move forward or what we're going to do in that scenario. But they're hiring us for our expertise and our, ability to steer them in the right direction.
Absolutely. So, have you had a situation where you've had a seller just kind of lose their mind a little bit, taking out their frustrations on you? Like, how do you handle that? How do you diffuse that situation and handle that?
Take a deep breath.
I see you thinking that's happened
Yeah.
many times. And
I mean, no, I mean, I'd like to say it's happened before for sure, but I try not to let it rile me up like too much because there's a reason why they're very frustrated or very upset. And it's usually like they're taking it out because you're the person they're gonna take it out on.
Mhm.
So I kind of have to like take my as long as I'm doing everything that I can do and I can confidently say like and I like to tell people like this is what I'm doing here, this is what I'm doing here. Why am I not selling? Why am I not getting, I give them like reasons and data as well.
Mhm.
I just like kind of throw my hands up and be like, well, I don't know. So yeah, I've definitely dealt with those types of clients before. And it's, again, staying really calm, understand where they're coming from.
Mhm.
They like freaking out because they have to sell because they literally are out of money? Is it because the something's going on in the building? Is it I've actually dealt with a divorce?
Yeah.
That's also fun. I got to add on a few other extra hats and be a therapist as well and know, who I'm dealing with. Is it somebody who's, got like four kids and they're relocating the whole family and they don't care what they're going to sell it for? I mean, like just put myself in their shoes a little bit and try and see where they're coming from. If I try and think about like if I was in there, maybe I would handle it differently if I was in their shoes, but calm them down and just stay really calm as much as I can. Try and diffuse the situation, come up with like hear them out too, because sometimes people just need to flip out.
Yeah. Yeah. They just got to get it out. The emotions are
Yeah.
bubbling. But I think the thing that you said that I like the most is put yourself in their shoes because you don't always know what they're going through and you're seeing it from your perspective of, well, I've been selling homes for however many years. I've sold, 200 homes, whatever the number is. Whereas maybe this is the only house they've ever sold. So you really need to try to be in their shoes to understand what are they going through.
Yeah. And I also do remind myself just because I do this every day and like I might deal with X, Y, and Z management company, different difficult people at all these different companies who I know, like they're difficult to deal with. My client doesn't do this every day. My client, even if they're like extremely wealthy and extremely successful, they're not dealing with like a co-op board and a co-op management company all day every day. And they might not understand that this crazy delay or these like one word answers that's like kind of normal. So I have to remind myself, like, just, let them understand like how things are being run.
Mhm.
Um, and really educate them too.
Absolutely. I think education goes so far because they just don't know. And when you tell them after the fact of something happening, they feel
Yeah.
like it's your fault. But if you can tell them
Oh,
beforehand and like prepare them for it, Prepare them for the worst and then surprise them with the best, right?
I love that. Yes. I like to over deliver if I can.
Absolutely. So let's talk about marketing a little bit. I know you said you do a newsletter, so I'm assuming you do a little bit of marketing in the newsletter. Are you doing that in print or digital?
Oh, digital. I do an email newsletter, print. I've done some usually when I sell something, I'll do like a just sold throughout the neighborhood or maybe the building. It depends on the property. But yeah, like some type of like print collateral. And I've actually been successful with that. I've gotten some clients from saying, "Hey, I just like this property in your building or in your neighborhood." But yeah, I do a lot of digital marketing. I think that's been pretty effective. And definitely when I have something that has like amazing photography, because people like to see pretty
Yeah.
pictures. I just sold this apartment actually on Fifth Avenue. The photos looked like they were out of AD, and people would call me and be like, "Is this stage?" I'm like, "That is really what the apartment looks like." It was a spectacular renovation. And so like it depends on like what I'm working with, or if I have something that's like a total wreck and maybe it's virtually staged.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
But I try to do as much marketing as I can. I just had something else in the New York Times that was like the right opportunity for that property. There's so much marketing. I get calls every single day from we're this publication, that publication.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And you could spend a fortune on all these
Yeah.
publications, right? Because none of them are free. It's rare that somebody's like, hey, I just want to feature your property for free. That doesn't usually happen very often. So we've got to be selective of what we're going to advertise in. And typically, I don't know that the advertisements really sell the house. It more sells us as agents, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
have you found something that's worked really well that you get a lot of calls like from actual buyers?
I've done a lot of Instagram ads when it's a certain type of property. And that's actually I've gotten a bunch of calls on those, and it depends on, like, again, like, the location, the size. There's certain parts of the New York City market that are heavily in demand where there's no inventory or no good inventory, and so if you have something like that that you're gonna list, I
Mhm.
think that's really effective. If you have something that's in, like, a little bit of a saturated part of the market, I don't know if it's as effective. And if it has some, like, amazing feature, like, I sold this townhouse a couple of years ago. I think it was like during COVID, and it had an unbelievable garden, like, unbelievable. And so, like, that was something that we highlighted, and, we a lot of marketing around the outdoor space, because it was, like, beyond. So it depends on the property and, is it a penthouse? Is it a really unique townhouse? Does it have some type of historical background or landmark around it?
And how
Yeah.
about in-person events? Like if you have a unique property like that, are you inviting people in to see it? Like, do you do a lot of brokers opens or maybe some kind of like host a seminar in the property, anything like that?
Yeah, I did actually in December. We had this townhouse in the West Village, and I did a broker's open, and there were so many people. I literally was like running a marathon that day. That was it was an amazing townhouse. It closed in December actually. But we did a broker's open early December, and there was just so many people that came. Everybody loved it. It was like magnificent townhouse. So that's been really effective. We do a lot of brokers open house tours. So maybe there's like 4 or 5 listings in the building or in the neighborhood. So maybe it'll be like the West Village, Chelsea broker open house tour for 3 to 4 bedrooms, for
Mhm.
example. And so those have also been pretty effective. I have a new listing actually that's coming on the market on the Upper East Side. And the renovation in this apartment and the detailing and it's all customized is beyond. And I just suggested it to the seller if we might be doing like an event there, like some type of like continuing ed class or some type of like meeting, sales meeting, or I'm in part of the Women in Real Estate Collective. Maybe we could host a meeting. So
Yeah.
I have to see if they'll be open to it. But that's like another idea. I thought you could just get bodies in here and but they're like really like they're like neat freaks. So I don't know if they want to have like a million people in their apartment.
Yeah, that's always hard. We did one
Yeah,
we did one at one of our clients' houses that, it was you have to remove your shoes and very
right.
particular. I was so nervous the whole time, but it turned out
Mm.
great, and we did a professional photo shoot of my team at the same time. So their house was featured in other magazines as well because of the pictures of us. And it was a
No,
really fun event, but it was a little nerve-wracking going in, worrying about them being upset. Of course, did extra cleaning afterwards to make sure.
yes. That's the only difficult thing. And then some of the properties I have for sale have tenants in place. So if there's tenants, then, we're not doing any type
Yeah.
of event or anything there. But I mean that one that I have coming is really amazing. And trying to think. Yeah, I just when the opportunity presents itself, I think it's a great opportunity to like do something in person, especially nowadays. Everything is like people are trying to get people to come in person versus virtually. We're obviously away from during COVID, it was like you could do like a virtual open house. It was like
So
crazy
weird,
times.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But and also too, it depends on the building. Like for example, this listing I just sold on Fifth Avenue, no open houses allowed. You have to finish the showings by 3:45
Oh,
p.m. And like you cannot be doing a 3:45 showing. Like the person has to be out of the building at 3:45 and not 3:47, 3:45. Like it's
right.
like really strict. And so you always want to make sure that you're following all the building rules. So it just really depends, I think, on the property and what the goals of the seller are too, if you're working with the seller. Is it getting the most amount of people? Is it only getting certain types of I have one seller who was like, I don't want anybody in the apartment unless they have a proof of funds letter or pre-approval and they've been properly vetted. I don't need anyone coming in here to make content. They had like multiple kids. So okay, fine. Like, and it just depends on like what's right for them.
Right. Yeah, it's working with the client to make sure that they're comfortable, but at the same time trying to get as many people in as we can, qualified people, of course, people
Right.
that are actually looking to buy.
Yeah.
Great. Well, listen, Lauren, this has been fun. I've really enjoyed talking to you. If people have some referrals for you or they want to buy or sell, how would they get in touch with you?
Oh yeah, they can just email me or call me. I am one of those brokers that's very on top of my email. I like to tell people like it's best to usually email me with a request just because I will 100% see it. Sometimes I get if I list something, especially with the New York City rental market right now, my phone will just like blow up and I might not get to your call or just so if you email me, I'll definitely get right back to you. But yeah, you could also call me or text me if you have anyone looking to buy or sell in New York City. Or send me a message on Instagram. I don't know.
Great. And what would be the best phone number or the best email?
Sure. It's Lauren.Pepin at compass.com. So Lauren.Pepin at compass.com. My phone number's you can Google it or 301-655-2492. Had that same phone number for like 25 years. So it's not gonna
Love that.
change. Or my Instagram is at Lauren Pepin 22.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully you'll get some people reaching out to you, and
Great.
good luck with the rest of this year and take care of that little cutie pie of yours.
Oh yeah. I gotta take care of him because he's gotta get big and strong so he can buy some real estate.
There you go. And all his friends, they all need to buy stuff too.
Yeah, enough with building with blocks. We gotta buy some real estate.
I love it. All right, Lauren, thanks so much and stay in touch and hopefully we'll do some referrals too.
Sounds good. Have a great
Right.
weekend.
Take care. Thank you for joining us for Mastering Luxury with Sandra. Make sure to subscribe and follow us so that you never miss a moment of the inside look